Welcome to Day 198, video 172 out of 319 lessons. This is an audio-video version of the Sovereign Light, named after my ministry, a course in metaphysical spirituality, and my name is Reverend Maria Arvanitidis. These 2 pages that will be covered, 529 and 30 and 31 out of 852 pages. Shall we begin? Sounds good. From every individuation, the self can physically identify with every other unit of separation, distinctly for itself, to learn from, contrast, and integrate all of its opposition throughout its bodily existence to experience and expand out into the sameness once again in the lower density reality that we have been privy to has been always in opposites that we may attract to one another. Once we have worked through all these oppositions and whether we have or not the elevation when we decide to let it go onto the next vibrational frequency that we may leverage, and so on and so forth, called ascension, descension, ascension, resurrection, and so on, and so be it for those who might or might not believe it to be truth. We reach a level that we begin to attract likeness onto its own likeness. So whatever it is we're vibrating, whatever it is that we attract that in likeness. And we also attract the opposite that we may learn from. And these can become soul contracts as well. And they can be, opposite sex, gender rather, opposite of whatever else it is, of diversity rather, that we may work through. And sometimes, we outgrow those relationships and it's time to move on. Because what we learn from that relationship of opposites, they might not, and it's time for them to split off and learn. And these are called, for the most parts, what we desire, and the need, this neediness to require those kind of things bring forth these learning curves in these so-called soulmates. And so this is what sticks one to another and creates a bond, it creates a covalent bonding or ionic bonding or what have you of the old ways of how we see things as fact, scientifically proven, and so on and so forth, until it becomes obsoleted as well. See, the more we try to keep things in one way, the more we'll be struggling, the more we'll be like samskaras, suffering, and so on and so forth. The more we learn to just let go of things, that's when we become enlightened. And I will continue on to read. The earth is the mother that unites all creation, and unto herself is one with all creation that is given to identify by name. And yet she also is harnessed by mankind and recreated, and all her elements, and like these ponds, this pond that you see with these artificial man-made fountains and springs and you see the crane up there. They're always at work. They're always constructing and destructing and morphing physical foundations, and whether we like it or not, they just impose their imprints. And so this is how respect is lost. And may they once again, I pray they find it for themselves, if not for their reflections. The earth must be respected. And this is where we're becoming into the splitting off of worlds, where you can't really force and impose everyone to come with you in that direction. So eventually, there'll be those who want to go with these things and those who want to stay with nature. And it's not a gender thing, it's not a species thing, it's not a race thing, it's what one wills upon themselves to consent, that they know that they're totally aware and awake to where they're going and where they wish to be and everything else, you see? And so I might have lost you there a little bit, but we are on this path of no return. And some of us might want to live on the moon, others might want to live on Venus, others might want to live on Mars, and so be it. But these vaccination parties for 6G reality here on Earth to connect to the Matrix is something that really it just implicates this reality of where we're going. Like, how can you rape and impose your views and everything else that this must be done? We have this thing called will, free will. And so, yes, we already know who belongs in this world and who doesn't. And may you call us black sheep because you might not know any better, but really, all you're seeing is a reflection of yourself as these black sheep, because you've become awakened to some form of leadership that that scares the big jiggers out of you, or just you don't take seriously enough. and you don't respect because you don't have that kind of awareness for your own being. And those who wish to suicide can join this party. Just like that happened in California back in 1994 with this Kool-Aid guy and their sneakers. I don't remember what kind of, were they Adidas sneakers they all used to wear, and they all decided it was a cult, that they would go and join their leader on some other planet or something, and they all suicided on this Kool-Aid. And this enforcement now is being like hypnotic doses. And, you know, I've already been through all these needle vampiristic things in my life that I've experienced, and, you know, used myself as an experiment with pharmaceuticals and all these things, that I really don't want to repeat that. That for me would be a karmic repeat. Why would I want to do that? And also, I have to take care of my liver, you see, and all my other organs, like my kidneys. And so, for those who haven't gone through it, this kind of experience, I wish you well. And until you actually make it through, if you ever do, then maybe we can start relating with one another again on a different path, on a different frequency that you might channel in, and truly, truly respect and walk through this journey on this earth with great reverence. And so the self is an individual within the whole of oneness. It feeds its soul with motion from contraction and expansion, and whilst it grows from within its body to experience as spirit. All the different names to separate and identify, and yet are from one in the same. Each and every labeling with a name and given meaning from perspectives has agreed upon grouping and from the minds of the many to make sense of. The cognitive consent to the overshadow of control from every action and reaction and calculate the reason comes from the ego mind. So when you fall into victim-perpetrator realities, the victim is also the ego mind. The unintegrated lower aspect of this thing called ego. And the disciplinary factor denoted as paternal and or brotherly within duality to play from sides. Well, you would never see it be sisterly, so because nobody ever relates to that secondary, hand-me-down called sisterly. Second, what do you call that? Second-class citizen. And then, or is it the animals come first and then the females? And yeah, for the most part, just like these vaccines, women are taking it and have been taking it, and it's okay because they just love it. And they too have this choice that they can follow along with their men and go in that direction all they want. I'm not saying that all men are like that, but for the most part, their women too can join them. And okay, I'll let you have a good laugh first, then we can get back to business again. Oh, here come the fuzz. Oh, you just love women in uniform, eh? I don't understand where this is going, but enslavement, enslavement, enslavement. That's where it's going. Okay, so my body is my inheritance from which I can coexist to experience life within this moment. To split off from the self into a gender bias and to keep splitting off enough that nothing can be left of itself. The experiences from these outer conditions that it completely gave its power to as victim and dependent. Then it goes even further to rely on such falsehood as to be convinced that from the same outer reality and will have created a saving mechanism in that it gave its power over to such a bearded man and then another bearded man, and they have to have a beard or a mustache, right? And so to the point where even women are starting to feel that hair on their face is power. Oh, God bless you all. In that it gave its power over to save it with. So anything with a beard will come and save you. Remember that, right? Remember. Reintegrate your membership into this reality and see it for what it is. If you're not in that containment, that spacesuit, then it has absolutely nothing to do with you. If you're not that bearded man or woman, then it absolutely has nothing to do with you. You are your own savior. And if you feel like you want to be pulled out of your own connection, then shall you be giving your power away to that external illusion that has absolutely nothing to do with your making or who you are. And so in truth, the master is the self, only when it can awaken from its spell of such madness to identify and firstly with itself as being mad. She's crazy. Don't listen to her. So when it has finally had the courage, to go beyond the fear of madness for itself, it can then and will overcome to see the leading edge it stands on. The purpose is to reach a level of acceptance that transcends beyond duality and where resistance is no longer present. My body is my inheritance, and from which I can coexist to experience life within this moment. My body is my inheritance, from which I can coexist to experience life within this moment. My body is my inheritance, from which I can coexist to experience life within this moment. And welcome to the intermission. Take a day to take it all in. Congratulations for making it through to the 172nd lesson. This is a rest period to take the lessons independently as a review. From the 46-week and 6-day course, 365-day program consisting of 319 lessons, videos, and 48 days of reviews that break up the lessons from every 6 days for a day, and every other week of 13 days for 2. Now then, take this day to recalibrate and make notes and review.